How many high achieving women are walking around with their check engine lights on and just ignoring it? You know what I mean. Physically, you're running on fumes, but keep saying, I'll rest later. Emotionally, you're stretched thin, snapping at the people you love, but you call it's just a busy season. And spiritually, you just feel disconnected, but you tell yourself this is just what success looks like. Here's the thing, friend. If that light came on in your car, you wouldn't cover it with a sticky note and keep driving. You'd pull over. You'd figure out what was going on and you would get it checked. And yet, that's exactly what so many of us do with our lives. We see the warning signs: fatigue, irritability, numbness, disconnection, but we just keep pushing, convincing ourselves that we can handle just a little more. But there's a cost to ignoring those signals. And today, we're going to talk about what those check engine lights actually mean, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and how your pro scan backup personality is often the first sign that something's off under the hood. Because if you want to lead your life well, friend, you can't afford to ignore the dashboard. Welcome to Remix Moments with Martine, where we will remix your mindset one moment at a time. I'm your host, Martine Williams, and I'm here to bring you a quick burst of inspiration, insight, and a fresh spin on your mompreneur journey. In just a few minutes, we'll remix your mindset, energize your day, and keep you moving forward with purpose. Let's dive in to today's moment. You see, one of the most fascinating things that I have learned throughout using the ProScan, personality performance and assessment, with my clients. You've heard me talk about that. It's a science-backed tool that I use in my coaching. So it's not just fluff. The coaching tools that I use are science-backed, and the ProScan personality and performance assessment is one of those tools. And when the internal check engine light starts blinking, when you're out of patience, out of energy, or questioning whether what you're doing is even worth it, something called your backup personality takes the wheel. This is always a really fun part of the pro scan when I'm illuminating someone's unique personality blueprint. It's only one page of the 23-page report, but it really does. It always gives the client a smile. It always is like, wow, that's so spot on. And I think there's more to it than just what's on that page. Because here's what I mean. Each of us has a natural personality, the way we operate when we are resourced, we're rested, and we're aligned. That's like what I call when you're in flow, like your natural, when you're operating with no pressure being applied, when you're in that flow state. It's how you show up when you're in the zone, basically. But the pro scan also reveals what happens when pressure builds, stresses rise, and your tank gets low. That's when your backup personality kicks in. And this isn't just about being fake or two-faced. It's simply your system trying to conserve energy and protect you. It's telling you that something is happening. And the problem is your backup personality often operates very differently from the real you. It's that altered state, that altered personality that shows up. A naturally warm relational woman might suddenly become withdrawn or snappy. A visionary leader who's usually decisive might become controlling, or on the flip side, scattered and indecisive. Someone who's normally calm and steady, she might start to micromanage or shut down completely. And these shifts aren't random. They're dashboard lights. They're the signal saying something's off, pay attention. And I'll never forget working with a client, a high capacity entrepreneur and a mom of three, whose ProScan showed a backup pattern that was almost the complete opposite of her natural strengths. In her natural state, she was collaborative, empathetic, she was inspiring. But when she hit the point of depletion, she'd swing hard into isolation and perfectionism. And she didn't even realize it at first. To her, it just felt like she was getting things done. But her team and her family felt the change long before she did. That warmth was gone, that fun was gone, and she was just operating on that backup mode, wondering why everything suddenly felt harder. And that's the thing about your backup personality. It's not a bad thing. It's kind of a built-in alert system. It's not how you want to operate from. You don't want to operate from your backup personality. But if you don't know how to recognize it, you end up trying to lead, love, and live from a place that isn't sustainable. You stay in that backup personality. So this actually came up with one of my clients this week. And, while we don't want the backup personality to show up, it has become that check engine light for her to notice that, okay, if I'm going into this style of operating, I need to check and see what's going on. My backup personality, because I have high extroversion in my personality, is a verbal attack. Now, thankfully, I have the fruit of the spirit and I have self-control most times, not all the time, but most times. And I don't actually launch a verbal attack on someone, but that is when I feel like I'm out of patience, out of energy, or what I'm doing doesn't feel like it's worth the effort that I'm putting in. That is who shows up. That's the Martine that shows up. If I feel backed in a corner, underappreciated, all of those things, that's where the verbal attack comes up. And what's interesting is you may not actually do this, but you'll be thinking about doing it. So because I mostly have self-control, I don't actually do it with the person or to the person, but you can best believe I'm having that conversation in my head. I am verbally attacking that person all up in my mindset, right? And for this other client that I've been working with this week, and this came up, it's her backup personality is I must be right. So when she feels out of energy, out of patience, or what she's doing is not worth the effort, what she was really feeling, she's right and everyone else is wrong. And she's waiting on other people to change versus taking the time to check the engine and look under the hood, her own hood, right? Because we can't change other people. We can't make people do other things, but we can check in on ourselves. And so those are just a couple of examples. There's multiple backup personalities that show up on someone's pro scan, but those are the two that I wanted to kind of talk about just to kind of give you some examples of what a backup personality looks like. But what I love about it is it's not just a warning light, it's also a really effective check-in tool. Whenever I start noticing my own backup style traits showing up, or when I see it in a client, I pause and I ask 3 simple questions. Where's my energy? Because remember, it's showing up because you're out of energy. So where's my energy right now? How's my patience? And the third one is, are my efforts and expectations aligned, or am I just pushing too hard? So really checking in on those 3 things when you see this backup personality showing up that I can show you when you take the pro scan, it's a really effective self-awareness. Because here's the truth, your backup personality doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It usually shows up when one or more of those areas is out of alignment. And so if your energy is low, you might find yourself reacting instead of responding. You're operating on fumes, so you conserve by defaulting to old patterns, and not just in actions, but in your thoughts. So for this particular client, the one who has to be right, that's her personality, this is a telltale sign for when she has picked back up the pressure of carrying it all. Because that is how she has felt. I have to control everything. If I don't control everything in my home, then everything's going to fall apart. It's a lot of pressure to walk around with. And some of you might relate to that as moms and business owners. You feel like the pressure is all on you and you have to control everything. So this is a telltale sign when she starts getting into, well, I'm right and you're wrong, and I must be right. Then we know this is an opportunity to check in on her energy, her patience, and her efforts. If your patience is thin, it's usually a sign you're overextended, right? Mentally, emotionally, or physically. And when your efforts and expectations don't match, when you're working harder than the results reflect, or expecting yourself to do more than is humanly reasonable, that's when frustration, striving, and resignation can take over. So I want you to really be thinking about this, because what we in our humanness do is we want other people to fix, right? We want blame others, blame other situations, blame other circumstances. And I'll never forget reading this in Andy, what is Andy's last name that wrote The Traveler's Gift? I don't know why his last name is totally leaving my mind right now. It's one of my favorite books, but he talks about it in there. When you start blaming or pointing the finger outward, you're releasing your power. You're giving your power away to those people, places, and circumstances. And so if we can put a mirror up, which is not fun to do, but bring a mirror up and say, okay, what's going on with my energy, my patience, my efforts and expectations? Because that's the only thing you can actually change, the only thing you can actually control. And so I use this check-in all the time with my coaching clients. For example, again, one woman noticed that every time she slipped into her backup pattern of control and micromanagement, it wasn't because her leadership suddenly changed. It was because her patience was gone. She'd been running at 110% for weeks without replenishing, without putting gas in her own tank. And so when your expectations are sky high, but your energy is flat, it makes a difference. And so by simply asking yourself these questions and checking in on your check engine light, then you can do something about it. You can take your power back. Bring it back to where the things you actually can control. Control the controllables, which is your thoughts, your words, and your actions. Hey friend, let's talk. It's time to book your clarity call. We are going to spend 1 full hour focused on you. A clarity call isn't about pressure. It's about possibilities. It's about you. You having a space to talk through what's on your heart and mind, you walking away with a clear vision and practical next steps, and you feeling confident in what's next and how to get there. You don't need to have it all figured out. That's my job. All you need to do is show up and we'll figure it out together. This is the best hour you can invest in yourself right now. Not 6 months from now, not next month, right now. And don't just take my word for it. Here's what one of my coaching clients had to say after working together.
When I started coaching with Martine, I was extremely burned out, overwhelmed, very stressed, and I knew I needed to make some changes. So I reached out, and over the course of time, she helped me realize that I needed to take back control of my schedule, create boundaries. And then along the way, I had a huge transition in my business, and she helped me figure out my next steps and help me structure a new business. And she's been there for me and been able to help guide me with her advice and her knowledge. Without her, I could not be where I am today.
That transformation, it starts with one conversation. It's time to stop spinning your wheels and start making real progress. So head right now to martinewilliams.com or in the show notes and grab your private clarity call spot on my calendar before they're gone. And since I personally monitor my inbox, if you don't see a time slot that fits your calendar, just send me an email at martinewilliams.com with 3 times that do work, and I will make it work for you. All right, friend, let's get back to the show. So this is why it's so important. Your backup personality isn't just telling you something's wrong, it's pointing you to where the misalignment is. It's like having your own kind of internal dashboard. If you're low on energy, check your rhythms. We talk about rhythms a lot on here. If you're low on patience, check your margin. Do you have zero margin going on in your life right now? You're just running from one appointment to the next. Misaligned efforts and expectations, check your strategy and your season. Are you being realistic with the season that you're in? And y'all know I'm in a really, really hard season right now. And I've had to really realign my expectations of how much energy I can give. And I was actually on a call with my coach talking through this. And I just said, in full transparency, I just don't have as much ambition towards my business right now. And, as someone who's been wildly ambitious for almost 2 decades now, it feels weird. It feels off. It feels a little scary, honestly. And she was like, it's not that you've lost your ambition. Your ambition is focused on something else right now. Your ambition is focused on your mother-in-law. And that really did help me a lot to think of it in that way. So when you learn to listen to those signals, you stop shaming yourself for being off, number one, and you start leading yourself with more clarity and compassion. So this week when I kind of shared with my client, we realized, here comes that backup personality is showing up again. It's like, okay. And we were able to realign back to what can she change, or what can she do differently, or how can she think differently? How can she let go again of some of the things that she had picked back up and are trying to control, that she absolutely has no control over? So I want to slow this moment down a little bit for you, because awareness is where real change begins. We have to become aware. And you've heard me talk about your backup personality as that kind of like flashing dashboard light and how it often shows you when your energy, patient, and expectations are out of alignment. So if you're able to, I want you to take a deep breath with me. And if you're driving, walking, or multitasking, no worries. You can reflect mentally. But if you have a journal nearby, this is a great time to jot a few thoughts down. And you can pause this episode, come back to it later. But let's walk through these three kind of check-in questions together. So the first one is energy. Where is your energy level right now? Not where you wish it was, but where it actually is. Not where you're told it should be, but where it actually is. Are you feeling steady and fueled? Or are you running on fumes, just pushing through the day? Second, patience. How's your patience lately? I was actually on a clarity call today, and I was like, if I could wave a magic wand, you can have anything you want tomorrow. Tell me what some of those things are. She's like, can you give me more patience? That makes me think of the Guns N' Roses song, Patience. But how's your patience lately? Think about the little moments, your tone with your kids, maybe your team, your partner, even yourself. Are you responding with grace? Or are you snapping quicker than usual? Are you numbing out or withdrawing to cope? And then third, your effort versus expectations. Where are your efforts and expectations out of sync? What effort you can put in and the expectation that you have. Are you hustling like it's a sprint when the season you're in actually calls for a marathon pace? Are you rushing from one thing to the next? Are you expecting yourself to maintain standards that made sense in another season, but not in this one? This has been my check engine light that I've constantly had to check in on. And here's the thing, there is no right or wrong answers here. There really isn't. This is about honest awareness, because when you can name what's going on, you can start making intentional shifts instead of staying stuck in the backup mode or burying your head in the sand, acting like nothing's going on or faking fine, all of those things that we've talked about on this podcast. But when you name what's going on and you get clear on this, you can start making intentional shifts. So what came up for you with those three questions? What's the one area? Energy, patience, expectations, maybe all three are blinking right now. Or maybe one is blinking the brightest on your dashboard. Just naming it is powerful, friend. It's you choosing to see the signal instead of ignoring it, putting a sticky note over it. So what I want you to take away from today's conversation is your check engine lights, whether they're physical, emotional, spiritual, are not signs that you're weak. They're invitations to pay attention. And your backup personality, it's not the enemy. I mean, I'm always going to be on the side of preventing the backup personality showing up. So staying in tune with your energy, your patience, and your expectations. But it is your built-in alert system, letting you know when your energy is low, your patience is thin, or your effort and expectations are out of sync. The women I coach, the high achievers, the go-getters, the ones who are leading businesses, raising families, making things happen, they're often the ones most likely to ignore the dashboard. Because you're highly capable, you're resilient, you can push through. But just because you can doesn't mean you should. Doesn't mean it's what's best. Eventually, even the strongest engines break down if the lights keep flashing and no one lifts the hood. So here's my challenge for you this week. I want you to notice your signals. Pay attention to your backup personality patterns. And you may be thinking, Martine, I don't know what mine is because I haven't had the ProScan experience. Well, then we should chat. You should book a clarity call. You can go to martinewilliams.com/clarity and we can get on a call an hour together and we can talk about some of these things and we can talk about what the ProScan is and how it can help you to stop performing your life and start leading and loving your life. I also want you to do your check-in. Ask, where's my energy? How's my patience? Are my efforts and expectations aligned? And don't wait until the engine seizes. Friend, pull over sooner. Get curious sooner. Care for yourself sooner. Because you deserve more than just surviving your life. You deserve to lead it with clarity, capacity, and confidence. And if you've been listening today and you realize my dashboard lights have been flashing for a long time, all three of them, and maybe it's time to stop guessing and get a real diagnostic tool to help you. And again, that's exactly why I use the ProScan personality and performance assessment in my coaching, because it gives you and me a clear picture of your natural strengths and your stress patterns, so you can stop reacting and start leading from alignment again. You don't have to figure this out alone. And honestly, if you could, you would have already done it, because that's who you are. You're a figure outer. So you can go to martinewilliams.com/clarity to book your clarity call, and let's pop up that hood together. Because when you understand your dashboard, you stop driving on empty and you start leading your life on purpose and from purpose. So I hope this was helpful. And you can always come over to Instagram at Martine31Williams and let me know what you thought of this episode. Again, I highly recommend that you go book your clarity call at martinewilliams.com/clarity, or you can send me a DM. If you don't see a time that works for you on my calendar, then just let me know 3 times that you're available and I'll make it work. All right. Until then, I'll catch you on the next episode. Well, that's it, friends, for this remix moment. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me, and I hope that you are feeling inspired and ready to take on whatever comes your way. Remember, even small moments can lead to big changes. If this moment made a difference, be sure to subscribe, share with your fellow moms, and leave me a quick review. Seriously, it means the world to me to hear from you. And until next time, I am believing in you, and I will catch you in the next moment.